The first time Mary saw the empty plot on Willow Street, she imagined laughter echoing in its walls. She was 53, freshly widowed and weary from decades of teaching. Her husband, Robert, had left her a modest pension and a dream. Build something that will last, Mary, something for Daniel. So she did. Every paycheck she saved, every extra tutoring job she took, every weekend she spent planning, it was all for Daniel, her only child. By 60, she had built a charming two-story home with pale blue shutters and a white porch swing. When Daniel graduated college, she proudly handed him a key. "This is your home, too," she said, smiling, "our family's home." Daniel had hugged her tight. "You're the best, Mom. One day when I get married, we'll all live here together." That day came sooner than she expected. When Daniel brought home Clara, a poised, elegant young woman with perfect hair and an expensive perfume, Mary felt an instant warmth. Clara seemed kind, thoughtful, and full of laughter. She insisted on helping Mary in the kitchen, called her Mom, and spoke of family as if she understood its sacredness. For the wedding gift, Mary redecorated the house, giving the newlyweds the master bedroom and taking the smaller one herself. "You're young," she said, "you need space." But soon after they married, small cracks began to appear. Clara replaced the floral curtains Mary had sewn with sleek gray blinds. Family photos disappeared from the living room, replaced by abstract art pieces. Modern, Clara called it. Fresh. Mary smiled politely, even as her heart ached at the empty frames tucked in a box. The first open wound came one rainy evening. Mary had fallen asleep on the couch while knitting. When Clara returned from dinner with her friends, she wrinkled her nose. "Oh, you're still up, Mary." Mary stirred awake. "Just dozed off. I'll head to bed." But when she reached her room, she found it filled with boxes, Clara's boxes. Shoes, bags, clothes. Her bed was gone. Confused, Mary turned to her. "Clara, where's my bed?" Clara shrugged. "We needed your room for storage. You can sleep in the guest room. I'll have Daniel move your things tomorrow." Mary stepped into the guest room, bare walls, cold floor, and no bed. Just a thin folded blanket. When she turned back, Clara's voice was sharp and dismissive. "Let her sleep on the floor. She'll be fine." Daniel stood there, helpless, silent. That night, as rain hit the windows, Mary lay curled up on the hard wooden floor, her old joints aching. Every creak of the house seemed to whisper betrayal. She had built this home, she had paid for every brick. And yet she no longer belonged. The next morning, Clara acted as if nothing had happened. She greeted Mary with a bright smile and asked if she'd like coffee. Daniel avoided eye contact. Mary wanted to scream, to ask her son how he could let this happen, but her voice failed her. Instead, she busied herself cleaning the kitchen, the same one she had once filled with Sunday pancakes and laughter. The weeks that followed turned her home into a prison. Clara complained about old habits, rolled her eyes when Mary told family stories, and whispered to Daniel that his mother needed to learn boundaries. Daniel, blinded by love or guilt, withdrew further each day. He began working late, avoiding the tension he had allowed to grow. Clara's dominance spread like ivy, strangling the warmth from every room. Once Mary tried to talk to Daniel privately. "Son," she said softly, "do you remember how you used to call this our home?" He sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Mom, please, Clara's just trying to make things comfortable for everyone. By taking my room, my bed, it's temporary, Daniel," she said gently. "Some things you can't replace with furniture." He walked away. That night, Mary wept quietly on the floor again. But this time, her tears were different, not helpless, but cleansing. Something inside her shifted. She decided she would no longer beg for kindness in the house she built. 2 days later, while Clara was out, Mary packed her few belongings into 2 suitcases. She paused before the living room mirror, looking at her reflection, tired eyes, silver hair, but a spine of steel. She opened her drawer and pulled out a leather folder. The property deed she had never legally transferred to Daniel. She had meant to, after the wedding, but something had always held her back. Perhaps fate had whispered, "Keep it." When Daniel came home that evening, she was at the door. "Mom, what's going on?" he asked. Mary smiled softly. "I'm leaving, Daniel. You both need space." He frowned. "You don't have to." "I do." She interrupted gently. "Because this house forgot who built it." And she walked out, closing the door quietly behind her. Months passed. Mary found a small apartment near her church. It wasn't much cracked walls, squeaky floorboards, but it was peaceful. She started volunteering at a local shelter, tutoring kids and planting flowers on her balcony. People there called her Mrs. Sunshine. Her heart still ached, but not with bitterness. She prayed for Daniel every night. Meanwhile, Clara turned the house into her kingdom. She hosted dinner parties, bought new furniture, and even bragged to neighbors that Daniel's mother left us her house as a gift. But when the property tax notice arrived, Clara tossed it aside. "It's just a clerical thing," she said. Mary probably forgot to update the address. Then came another. And another. The red stamp on the envelope screamed final notice. Daniel began to worry. He called the tax office, only to hear words that turned his stomach. "Sir, the property is still under Mrs. Mary Roberts. Payments are 3 months overdue." He sat in silence for a long time, then called his mother. "Mom, did you ever transfer the house to us?" he asked weakly. "No, Daniel," she said calmly. "I never did." Clara grabbed the phone. "Mary, this is ridiculous, you said." "I said it was yours to live in," Mary replied evenly. "Not yours to own." Clara's voice cracked with panic. "You can't just take it back." "I can," Mary said softly. "Because I paid for every inch of that floor you told me to sleep on." The line went silent. Within weeks, Daniel received a legal notice, eviction pending. Mary had filed to reclaim her property. Neighbors began whispering. Clara's friends stopped visiting. Daniel pleaded with Mary to reconsider, but she only said, "Sometimes lessons must be lived, not told." When Mary arrived at Willow Street again, she didn't come with anger, she came with grace. Daniel stood outside, eyes red. Clara looked broken, her designer clothes wrinkled, her face pale with sleeplessness. Mary's heart softened for her son. "I'm not here to destroy you, Daniel. I just came to take back what I built." He nodded silently. Mary moved back in that week, but instead of forcing them out, she gave Daniel and Clara a choice. "You can stay in the guest house for now," she said kindly. "It's small, 1 mattress, no heat, but it's shelter." Clara's eyes widened. "That's cruel." Mary tilted her head. "Cruel, no, dear. Cruel was making someone sleep on the floor in her own home." Daniel looked at the ground, shame written across his face. The days that followed were humbling. Clara tried to endure the cold nights and thin blankets. She washed dishes for Mary, cooked breakfast, and quietly wept in the corner. Fleur, once a symbol of her arrogance, had become her punishment and her teacher. Weeks passed. Slowly, the tension thawed. Daniel began repairing the house, repainting walls, planting flowers with his mother. One afternoon, Clara approached Mary, trembling. "I don't expect forgiveness," she whispered, "but I am sorry." Mary studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Pride can make monsters out of the best of us. I forgive you, but I will never forget." Months later, Daniel and Clara moved to a small rented home. They visited Mary often, bringing her groceries and laughter. The house at Willow Street once again held warmth, not because of ownership, but because it had finally remembered love. And on quiet nights, Mary sat on her porch swing, knitting as the sun dipped below the horizon. She no longer carried bitterness, only peace. The floor she once cried upon had become a foundation of strength, a reminder that dignity, once reclaimed, is the softest form of revenge.